still here. Ooh, it's been nearly 2 weeks, but I've been busy. Oh, I've forgotten my crocheting. I've been sat at home crocheting this cardigan. I've not brought it into the shed, so I'll show you anyway when it's finished before I give it to. I have been buying though, I'm afraid. Although you'll be surprised, I think, at what I bought. First of all, from my D-Stash group, I bought some florals. They're by PB Textiles, and I bought a yard of this one, and a yard of this pink one, and a yard of this, well, it's still pink, but it's got lilac flowers on, and a yard of this lush flowers. I'm going to have a very floral quilt, and I bought 2 yards of this stripy one to do the border. So I bought it because it reminds me of a quilt I had when I first got married. And it also reminds me of a tea I had. We were very sort of cottagey, but I thought they were lovely, so I bought them all off my D-Stash ladies. I also bought this on D-Stash, which is a pattern by Elizabeth Hartman. Now, Elizabeth Hartman's patterns are extremely popular. She's got them going diagonally across this quilt in here. But, oh, see here, in straight lines, I think I'm going to do maybe 2 of the straight lines, offset a bit. Anyway, God knows when I'll do that. But it doesn't look too complicated. I thought that was lovely. What else have I bought? I got some stripes. Now, many years ago, I've probably not worked for about 5 years now, but before then I was busy collecting fabric, as always, but I was busy buying striped shirts from charity shops. Not eBay so much, because they were a bit pricey, and any of the men that I work with, when they had finished wearing their, not when they finished wearing it at the end of the day, but you know, when they thought, right, we're getting rid of this, they gave them to me. So I've got a whole box. One of these boxes on the back here is full of shirt fabrics that I've cut all the sleeves and collars off and things. And a lady on the D-Stash group was selling her striped shirt fabric. Although these, she says, don't come from a shirt factory. They come from, people's backs or charity shops. She says they come from a shirt factory, and they are very nice. So there's a whole load. And I could probably only get 3 from the charity shop for what I paid for these. That's a big kind of pyjama-y, isn't it? Although, you know, there's some checks. Here's some checks. So these are going to fill up my my box of stripes. Might get me going, because I haven't got enough to make a quilt, you see. But and the pattern that I was saving them for, I've gone right off. So I've got nothing in mind at the moment. Just something that's a bit optical illusion-y, you know. So I've got loads of them. So I don't need to look out for these anymore, do I? Because I've just got hundreds and hundreds. Well, I haven't, but you know, a big lot, a big load of them. So anyway, I've got these. Last one here. So they're for my striped quilt, and we'll see what we can make out of them. And from the supply that I get my dressmaking fabrics from, Shira Fabrics, I think it's called, Shira, or Shira, anyway, on Facebook, and they also have a website. I bought some end of roll pieces. So this is 60 inches wide, and I've got 2 meters, and I bought this. I know 2 meters is way too much, but you know, I'm going to make some dresses for my granddaughter. I got this one, and I got this one. I'm going to make a party dress out of this. Lovely. And I bought this, which is to make me a nightie. It's cotton lawn, so it's a bit, be nice in the summer, not a winter nightie, so you can see through it a bit. So what I bought off my dressmaking person, and I have brought in, although I'm so annoyed I've forgotten all that crochet, and it's lovely because my daughter asked me to do a crocheted cardigan after I'd finished her son's jumper. She said, can you do a cardigan now for my granddaughter? And I said, yes, all right. And we decided that she wanted it like the crocheted blanket I've made, which is stripy in different colours. But when I started to think about it, I thought, gosh, doing stripes on tiny little, I mean, she's 2, tiny cardigan fronts and things is going to be a right load of hassle. So I rooted through the internet and I narrowed down some rainbow coloured wool and in feminine colours, and I've done the back and the 2 fronts, so, and it's looking lovely. Although of course I'm not following a pattern at all, and once I'd finished the back I decided it was too narrow, so I've got stripes going the other way up the sides, and then of course the fronts were too small, so I've had to do stripe up the sides of them as well. And I started a sleeve, but the sleeve hole was like that, you know, which was much too big. Anyway, I'm busy doing that and I've forgotten to bring it to show you, but I will do when I've done it. And this is the book I was talking about last week. This is the pickle dish. I'll see if I can find it inside. This is something I really want to do, but I'm not. It's you know, it's paper piecing, foundation piece, paper piecing, where you have to do it all back to front and inside out, and that scares me. I'm not very good at that. That's why I bought the cat pattern to practice on. There it is. Isn't that lovely? Can you see it? I want to make that. Be lovely, won't it? I don't know what fabric range. I've got many, but I've got a pattern for that now. So I've got that to look forward to. Now, the what they're called, these, I can never remember the name of them, the hourglass pieces. I cut them all down to 6.5, and I did do a little video to show you how I did that. And if I can work out how to splice it into this one, I'll be very chuffed with myself. But if it doesn't appear, it's because I couldn't do it. I decided I'm going to hand quilt it like I like to do, because my machine quilting is either straight lines or scribble, and I'm not very pleased with scribble and straight lines. Well, I prefer to do it by hand anyway. I bought some crochet cotton in just the right colour as well, kind of like this colour. Sorry for the noise. There. Kind of like that colour. So I've decided, rather than having an enormous big quilt on my knee, I'm going to do it in quarters. So I've shared out all my blocks. I put them all out so that I knew how many I had of that pattern and that material, and then I divided them into 4 so that each had an equal amount of the mixture, and then I put them all together in stripes so that they weren't repeated anywhere. I hope. If they are, I don't care now. It's past. So I've got all these pieces here. This is 1/4. I have no idea if you can see that. Oh, can you see that? Yes. With all of them all mixed in. So I'm going to, I've got lots of material left over, so I've measured all my leftover material, and I'm going to back it with the same material. Pieced, it's just going to be strips sewn here and a block sewn there. I'm not going to do it in any fancy pattern. And I'm going to quilt it with this kind of colour. Just in straight lines, you know, following the block outline. I've got a big ball of that colour, which I think is maybe a bit, it's a bit too winey for the red, but the red was too tomatoey. So, you know, I've got white. I didn't want to do white, but, you know, cream might be all right, but then would cream go on these? So anyway, I'm doing it in red. And I bought the ball, so that's what I'm doing. So I'll be doing that 4 times, because that's going to be easier for me. And then when I've quilted all 4 quarters, I will splice them together. Hopefully I'll be able to show you how I do that. And then it's going to be put away until the borders come. Now, I'm not bothered about putting borders on afterwards because I may have told you this before. I made a quilt and I put it all together and bound it and everything, and we had it on the bed, and my husband started to complain that he was getting a drafty back because it wasn't big enough. So I thought, right, I'll sort you out. And I unpicked all the binding and ironed it flat. So that is it looks like a very thin border. And then I made hundreds and hundreds of flying geese, where it's a coloured triangle inside with two corners inside two white triangles. And put them all together and sewed them on the edges of the quilt. I think I might have put another white border in as well, and another border on the far side. So it was quilt, binding border, little white border, big flying geese, another border, and then more binding. I had to use different, well, some of the materials were different, but you know, it was all Tilda. So well, some of it was Tilda. Is it all Tilda? Most of it was Tilda. Most. And I also included in that quilt some pyjama material because I was experimenting on making quilts with partial used material from clothing, because I'm aiming to do something in the future, and I was experimenting. It worked very well. Anyway, it was no hardship. I was expecting it to be terrible, but it wasn't. And then when I laid it down to layer, I laid out the quilt, and I'd sewn on my backing fabric, so that got laid, and then I got it's about 14 inches bigger all the way around, just strips of oh, here comes my husband. Okay, so I get my square in the middle of my board. I get my square that I'm going to line it up with. I get the little circle in the middle and I line it up with the diagonal lines. Then I press on it and cut around the edges with a circular board, well, a turning board. It's a lot easier. There it is done. Cut to size, 6.5 inches. Bit of debris in the bin. And get another one. Can you see the, where is it? It's there. That's in the middle, and I'm lining it up with these diagonal lines along the diagonal lines on the block. And then I just cut off, it's only about a 1/4 of an inch on each side, 1/2 an inch. I'm cutting it to 6.5 inches, and I think before I'm cutting them they're about 7, but some of them aren't quite, so I decided to cut them down to 6.5 rather than risk them not being big enough. Anyway, just thought I would show you how I'm doing this, and if you actually get to see it, it means I have learnt something about editing. Okay. Anyway, he brought me a cup of tea in my granny mug, so I'll see if I can splice these together. I'm going to be a bit adventurous. If I don't manage it, then you won't know about this, will you? I've just noticed that I've not shown you the pattern. And that's the pattern I'm doing for my granddaughter's dress, although it hasn't got any sleeves, so I'm going to have to dig around and see if I can find some sleeves from another dress. For now, anyway. I have ordered 3 more patterns this morning. Did you know that I think it's called Sewing Direct? I can't really look because it's on my phone. I think it's called Sewing Direct. They sell sewing patterns, and one of the makes, I can't remember, I think it's Butterick, is 50% off. So instead of being £10 each, I bought 3 for £5 each. So I've got a whole variety of lovely pretty dresses, because I've decided My youngest daughter is up at the moment. She came up on Wednesday. She told me she was coming on Thursday and then phoned me up and said we're here, because she didn't want me pestering her, because when I know she's driving up, I do send her lots of texts saying, have you had a rest? Have you stretched your legs? Have you had a coffee? Are you being careful? Let me know where you are. And it drives her mad. I mean, she's not driving. Her husband drives on the motorway, but it just drives her mad because I'm a very annoying mother. So she came up on the Wednesday and didn't tell me. You know, when she had her little boy, he's 18 months old now. When she had him down in Wiltshire, we happened to be up watching a film. We normally go to bed. Well, my husband goes to bed before I do, but we were up watching this film, and it was about 10 past midnight, and the phone rang, and I answered my phone. You know, it was a video call, and there was my daughter sat in a hospital bed, and I said, oh, are you in hospital? And she just moved. If that was the phone, she just moved it down until in the frame was a baby. She didn't tell me she was in labour or anything. That's the best way. That's the best way, I'll tell you. I worry myself to death when my elder daughter had hers. Not that I was particularly worried. It's just that they couldn't get a signal out of the delivery suite, and she wouldn't let her husband leave her just to text me anyway. Oh, I was out of my mind with worry. With good reason, actually. She didn't have an easy birth at all, and it was all, we were looking after our grandson when she went and had my granddaughter, and that was just as worrying as well. Well, not quite as worrying, because I had to be sensible because I was looking after my grandson. But she used to say to me, my other daughter who lives far away, I'm not going to tell you if I have any. Of course, then, you know, we were absolutely dumbstruck when she announced she was pregnant, because she always used to say that she didn't want any. But like she said, as she approached 30, it makes you start thinking, doesn't it? Anyway, yeah, there he was, and the signal was terrible, and I couldn't hear anything she was saying, and we didn't even know if she'd had a girl or a boy. It was just this gorgeous little baby, all born 15 minutes before she'd had him, 5 to 12. And that's why my little grandson, his birthday is on the 20th of November, and my eldest grandson, his birthday is on the 21st of November. I have to try not to be mixed up. The wrong words come out my mouth all the time, and you know, the girls are always shouting at me, you don't know the difference. I do. It's just, you know, sometimes your mouth says something different than you're thinking, doesn't it? Anyway, that's beside the point. Yeah, I'm making some dresses for my granddaughter, and I'm busy crocheting jumpers. I can knit, but I'd prefer to crochet, because I think that's my place in their life. Their other grandparents are different to me, so you know, they can do all the lively things, and I'll do the cuddly things, and make pretty dresses and knit octopuses and things like that. That was a trial. Knitting that octopus was enormous. Its head was about that big, and then all its tentacles were about 3 foot long, and it all came together with you sewing the underneath part where all the tentacles joined together underneath the head, and I had them round my neck and in my face, all over the place, because you crocheted them curly. I'll see if I can borrow it off him and show you. That was a not an easy thing to make, but I did it because he wanted one. I am a nice granny. And then when I gave it him, he said, Granny. I said, yes. He said, space. I said, okay. Okay, so then I made him a quilt with all the planets on it. I gave him that when his sister was born. And of course I made one for her as well. Anyway, it's busy, isn't it, life? It's a lovely day today. The sky's blue. I've got no heating on in here. It's it's 21 degrees. It was 18 when I came in. I must be giving off heat, or my cup of tea must be, one or the other. Anyway, my youngest grandson, I saw him yesterday, and I saw him the day before, and we're waiting to see him today. Hopefully we'll be able to. It's just a shame because she doesn't bring the dogs anymore. She's got 2 dogs and they used to come and stay, but then we got mice and they just wouldn't. We trapped 1 and we had about 8 traps, and you know, they started multiplying. It started with 1 or 2 and then they were coming out in pairs and 3s. Oh, it was awful. So we went to the cat sanctuary and got a cat. My husband wanted a kitten and I said, we can't have a kitten. A kitten will think they're play friends. We need a cat that knows what to do with a mouse. So the cat we chose had been living in the wild, a feral cat, but she'd settled down in the back garden of an old lady, and this old lady fed her on the doorstep, and then the old lady died. So the neighbours got it in a box and took it to the sanctuary, and they called her, what did they call her? I can't, Fat Boy they called her, but it was a girl. And I said, why did you call her Fat Boy? Because she's a very big cat. And her fur's about that long, and she, if you hold her around the tummy, all her legs wobble around like you're holding a balloon. Anyway, he said, I don't know. But we found out when we got home. Oh dear me, did I regret choosing her for a couple of weeks. And I was thinking, I can't send her back, you know, we need to have a cat, and she's never mixed with humans or been trapped inside a house. I was clawed to death. She was just didn't want to have anything to do with us. And then when she did get a bit used to us, she would be happy and then suddenly attack you. Yeah, my husband wouldn't have her anywhere near him. He only got bitten once. I was bitten every day for about 2 weeks. Now she purrs her head off. And the first time we went away, we put her in kennels. She was enormous when we picked her up because we told them just to give her 1 packet a day, and they didn't. So she put weight on, and she was in her cage that we bought specially for her because she doesn't like to be enclosed. So we've got, you know, like a wire all over one. And she was fine. And she sat on me and purred her head off, and she was dribbling and purring. And when she'd done that for about 15 minutes, she decided to attack me. I think she was a bit angry that we'd gone and left her. Now my daughter comes and feeds her because we don't really go away. We go and see my daughter. That takes all our money up. So she comes and looks after her for 3 days or so, and she's very used to it now. She's used to them coming and feeding her. She's used to us not being there, and she's used to us coming back. And we don't have mice anymore. We've always had cats, you know, and there came a stage about 5 years ago where our last cat died, and I was working, so was he. And we just thought, well, you know, we're not home to look after a kitten or a new cat. But then we got mice. And I was home by then. I didn't expect to not be working. And I was home all day watching these mice. Ugh. Do you know, they can squeeze in the smallest places. And they're too intelligent. They know what a trap is. Anyway, yeah, they disappeared when the cat came, so I don't know if she killed them and ate them or if they scarpered. I don't know, but I don't think we're ever going to be able to be without. It's where we live, you see. Down at the end of the road, which is 1, 2, perhaps 4 houses along, then we've got a strip of land, and then we have the canal. I mean, it's kind of wild and wonderful out there, isn't it? Anyway, yeah, she does a good job, and she doesn't bite me anymore or scratch me. She's very clever. My husband hates her being upstairs, so she's upstairs when he's at work, and as soon as he comes home, she runs downstairs. She knows. She sees his car coming down the road. She can hear it, and she knows not to sleep on the bed. Although when he was in hospital, she slept on the bed with me every night, which was, you know, comforting. He was in for, well, I think 2 nights she didn't. She stayed out. But he was in there for 3 weeks. Anyway, when she saw that he was home, she stopped doing that as well. She's a clever girl. Anyway, I think I've shown you everything. I didn't say to my husband, will you come back with me knitting? I'm going to get on with this now. I might have a route through my patterns. I've put my pattern out. I've read it, know what I'm doing. But I think I'm going to do the quilt, the layering up of it first. and then I can, when I finish the cardigan, then I can start to quilt it. I have told you, haven't I, that I quilt with big stitches using crochet cotton, because I haven't got time to do it by hand, and machine is too frustrating. I'm not good with machines. I used to when the children were little, it used to take me about 4 years to make a quilt complete by hand. So I ain't got time to spend 4 years on a quilt now, have I? I've got lots to get done. I mean, I sewed these together by hand, but them being sewn together into the 36-inch square I've done on the machine. And me middles don't match very well, but you know, I don't care. See, that one matches quite well. It's better than the other ones. This one here, that doesn't match. There's another group. They kind of match. I'm not going to unpick them. I mean, if it was, you know, horrendous, although you might think these are horrendous, I might unpick them, but I don't care. It doesn't need to be perfect, does it? It just needs to give me joy. And that's what it does. I enjoy sewing them, I enjoy thinking about them, I enjoy quilting them, and I enjoy using them. So that's why I make them. Although I've got many I haven't quilted. Anyway, I can't do everything all at once, can I? I've got to make cardigans as well now. I mean, they were both pregnant at the same time. One daughter was having my youngest grandson and the other daughter was having my granddaughter. And they gave birth. One was born in September, one in November. It was a very worrying year for me. I didn't like having 2 daughters pregnant at the same time. But there you go, we all survived. I think there's flowers coming on the pear tree's flowering, so in a couple of weeks it should be the apple tree. I've still not chopped it down. Anyway, we don't care about the satellite dish not working now because we've got rid of it. We've got rid of Sky, and we just watch Freeview, and we've got Prime TV, because all you do with that is you buy the plug-in thing, and that's it. No monthly fee or anything. Oh, well, you do. You pay to Amazon. It's $8.99 a month, I think, but that's to be a Prime member. And being as I don't get out and I can't go around the shops looking for deals, that's why we do Prime, because I can look on Amazon and they get delivered very quickly. Just, you know, because it's Easter coming up, my grandchildren, I've decided, are not having Easter eggs. They have chocolate every time they come here anyway, and sweets. I have a treat jar. So I have bought my eldest grandson some more aqua beads because he loves those, and these ones are specifically dinosaurs. And my granddaughter, I said to my daughter, is there anything in particular you would like me to get her instead of an Easter egg? And she said yes, a drum, because she does like making noises. So I bought her a drum, and I had to play with it and showed my daughter. And then the next day I was showing my other daughter because she'd come up, and it was split. The wood had split. Not that I'd been hitting it too hard or anything. My husband says it must have been not dried properly, and it's dried out since it's come home, to our home. So I contacted Amazon, and I've already got a replacement. I've not sent the other one back yet, because you know it's not easy to get out and about, and when you stay in the house for hours on end waiting for one of your daughters to come and visit, it's even harder. Anyway, because it's school holidays now, you know, they're free to come and see me, although, you know, they're busy doing their own thing. But you have to be ready. I can't be out. I'm out next week. Next week I'm doing a talk at my quilting group. It's my turn, and I'm going to talk about my collection of feed sack quilts, which I bought over a few years, a long time ago, 30 years ago, 35 years ago. I bought them from America, and there's only one quilt that I bought. All the other ones are quilt tops, because the cost of the postage for a full quilt of the 3 layers wasn't worth it. I mean, apart from the size of the package. So I bought quilt tops, and I've got them all put away, all my quilt tops, under this very desk. My husband has got to get down there and pull them out, and I'm going to tell my quilting group all about it, all about my collection and feed sacks and how they originated in America in the 1920s and 30s. So yeah, I've got that to do, as well as my crocheting and doing this, so got lots to do, haven't I? And in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy my grandchildren. Anyway, I hope this leaves you well, and hello to my subscribers, and I'll chat again soon. Bye bye.